All right, we're going to take a look at the larynx model here, and you are looking at it right now from the anterior view. So what we're going to do is we'll go top to bottom here, so superior to inferior on the anterior view. We'll turn it around to look at the posterior view, and then we'll tip it slightly so that we can see inside to see the vocal folds in that area. All right, so let's start up here. You're looking at a bone. This is the hyoid bone. And then if you move down here, this is the portion you can feel in your throat that's highly cartilaginous. This is going to be the thyroid cartilage, and it's very large, and the thyroid gland would sit on top of this, and so it is a big structure. And if you feel the prominence in your throat that we often call the Adam's apple, that is the laryngeal prominence, which is right here. This is why you need to get your hands on the 3D model in the lab so that you can actually make sure that you see those structures and feel them and know what they are. So this whole thing is thyroid cartilage, but the point that sticks out is the laryngeal prominence. Then you move your way down inferiorly. There's this ligament you don't need to know called the cricothyroid ligament, and that is what is punctured when somebody cannot breathe, when they're choking or something like that. You can puncture it to open an airway. But the reason you want to pay attention to it is if you move this down or you run your finger down, you'll feel that indentation, and then there's a big lump. That big lump is another piece of cartilage called the cricoid cartilage. And then you move into the trachea, and you'll have the tracheal rings of cartilage, and in between the tracheal rings of cartilage you have annular ligaments. Annular ligaments. All right, we are going to move around to the back side here. Make sure you can see this. There's more cartilage that we want to pay attention to right here. I always tell everybody these look like shark's teeth. This is called arytenoid cartilage. Arytenoid cartilage. Then, as you move down here, you're looking at the posterior side of the trachea. Notice that those rings of cartilage, the tracheal rings, end. They're actually C-shaped, and they are not present in the posterior side. And that's because the esophagus, the food and drink tube, lies right next to this. And when you're swallowing something, it needs to be able to push in to this portion of the trachea. So this has to be soft so that you can pass your food and drink. Now this tissue is white right here, but there's actually a muscle under there, a muscle just deep to that, and that would be the location of the trachealis muscle, trachealis. Then I'm going to move this and dip it just slightly so you can see inside. There's this flap here. This is the epiglottis. All right, so this flap is the epiglottis. And then if I dip this so you can see it, these are on either side, these are the vocal folds or vocal cords. There is a space for air to move through in between them, and that space is called the rhinoglottitis. So that is how we move the air through this passageway. And as the air moves up from the inferior portion of the respiratory system, it causes the vibration of these vocal folds, and that's how we make sound.